On Saturday, for the first time in over a year, Broadway welcomed back a live audience to watch our next guest take the stage at the legendary St. James Theater.
I put on my mask and I opened the door, and right there, standing in my hallway, it's Hugh Jackman. I know. And at first I think, no, it's just the hottest UPS guy ever. Or I'm hallucinating from too much ramen. But it's really him. And he says, "Hi, I'm Hugh Jackman. May I come in, mate?" And he says, "I've been vaccinated." And I say, "But you're too young." And he says, "Broadway stars have just been classified as essential workers." And I say, "Duh, come right in." And he looks so grateful, and he looks around my one-bedroom apartment. Fine, it's a studio with an alcove. And he says, "This is lovely." And I realize, Hugh Jackman's been cooped up too.
A three-time Tony Award-winning actor Nathan Lane joins us now. It's a great honor to have you here. You know, I took my kids to a baseball game on Friday. We saw some friends who had been vaccinated, saw little kids running through a house, and I got home at night, and I sat down, and I was just thinking, I said, is that the final scene in Inception? Did that really happen? I mean, it was really the things that we used to take for granted, we just aren't going to, I don't think, as much anymore. What was it like for you to be back on the stage giving to people?
Well, it was a little surreal to be there. I've done 2 shows in the St. James Theater, and so it was sort of like coming home, and so it was emotional. And yet, you know, everyone, when you went out, it was 150 people, but all spread out, and they had been masked and you know, been tested, and there was a lot of protocol. So you know, when I looked out, it looked like a hostage video, but they were incredibly appreciative, and it was a very special thing for myself and Savion Glover, who also performed brilliantly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. The New York Times, the Sunday Times yesterday had a story, I think it was in the business section, with somebody, all you can see the legs jumping off of something, and said, "We have all hit the wall." And I know that you've felt that emotion over the past year, and I know you've had friends and loved ones who have too. It had to be gratifying not only to be there for yourself, but also understanding that everybody that you were performing for had been yearning for this moment for a year. Well,
you know, look, yes, New York it's symbolic of the arts and culture, and certainly Broadway. But it was a way of signaling to people we're coming back, and this is sort of a bridge to hopefully a full recovery. Hopefully, if everything goes well in the fall. But these were all essential workers from Broadway Cares and the Actors Fund, and so they certainly know what a lot of people have been going through, and I'm sure it was nice for them to be back in a theater, and as it was for me, and I think you know, hopefully you'll be able to look out and see a full house in about 6 months.
Yeah, you know, Casey Hunt had asked Alex, our EP, to kill my camera so she could conduct the entire interview. She's a huge fan, so I won't get in her way anymore. Casey.
Oh, you're sweet. I am a huge fan, have been ever since your performance in The Birdcage, which is still, I have to say, one of my very, very favorites. So it's an honor to be on with you today. And, you know, I have to say, I was looking at you there in your sweatshirt and thinking there's so much that we've missed over the last year. Broadway, of course, chief among those things, being able to see live performances and enjoy that. But also, we're starting to read news stories about the things that we might actually miss about the pandemic. The Wall Street Journal's got a whole story about naps. There are, of course, the sweatpants. So I'm just curious, how's it going for you at home? How's your family doing? And is there anything you're going to miss once we start going back to normal life?
Oh, Well, my family, my family is good. My husband is good. We adopted 2 rescue dogs a few months ago, so they've taken up a lot of time. But yes, I mean, look, it's been a time of enforced reflection, and there's been time to do things that you didn't have time to do before. But I do miss that communal experience, which is what the theater is all about, and just telling people a story. So yes, and going to movie theaters and all of that, and going to a restaurant with friends and catching up, and it'll be really nice when that can happen again.
What do you
it's
think?
Starting.
Yeah, no, it is starting. What do you think needs to be done to help make Americans feel safe going into a packed theater? Do you think that there needs to be a push from government officials to encourage people to do this in terms of the safety of vaccination rates, or what should the rules be for going to the theater to make everyone feel like, hey, I'm excited to go sit in a crowd next to a whole bunch of my dearest friends and strangers again?
I think the people, in charge of that kind of thing are trying to do that. This is one, Scott Rudin and Jane Rosenthal have put this program together of pop-ups, and they're also testing to see how this goes, and improving, and so I think that it's about getting that kind of word out to people, and I'm sure there'll be some people who are hesitant to go back, but I think, if it's all being done safely, and certainly in terms of people being vaccinated, the more people that are vaccinated, the better it will be, and we're certainly making headway there. I think it might take a little time, but hopefully they will also be wanting to have that experience again as well.
Katty Kay is with us and has a question for you. Katty.
Nathan, it was great to see the performance, and yeah, it is weird, but at least it was a live performance. It's going to be a while before we have full-fledged musicals and big audiences and operas in particular back in the theatre. What happens to that generation of younger performers who have been hit so badly by this pandemic, who have lost their jobs, who have had to find other careers? What happens to them? Do they come back in? Is there a rescue plan for them? Will they get jobs back on Broadway, back in the theatre again, do you think? Or have we potentially lost hundreds of really talented young performers?
Yeah, I think about that a lot. The younger people who have maybe just arrived in New York, and then the pandemic hit. So, and they have to survive. They have to make a living, and New York is an expensive place to live. And so, I think, in many cases, I think we may have lost people, or they found other things to do, and maybe they like them. Or maybe it's just dreams postponed, and they'll come back, and when things are back to quote unquote normal. The theater or show business is a difficult profession to be in under any circumstances, but I don't know what the statistics are on that, but I'm sure we've lost in many, not just in acting, but in all parts of the profession, people who just weren't able to survive and hang in, and had to, many have just gone home to live with their parents for a while to figure things out, but hopefully many of them will come back as well.
Hopefully they'll return when all of us return and get in packed Broadway theaters again. Nathan Lane, thank you so much for being with us today. We really do appreciate it. All right, that does it for us this morning. Thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Stephanie Ruhle picks up the coverage right now. Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.